This is VoidShimmer, a block critical to our world if we want to progress. But there is one problem. We don't have it. And in order to get VoidShimmer, there are some things we need to do first. We need to create a pressure chamber first. Upgrade then to pneumatic armor and explore some deep underground structures. These tasks will put VoidShimmer in our hands. So let's get into it. Alrighty folks, welcome back to our OceanBlock 2 series. We start off today by creating a pressure chamber, but first we need to create pressure. The easiest way for us to do that is with a flux compressor. With compressed iron from quests and crates, we are able to craft absolutely everything we need. So starting out, we'll throw down a 4x4 floor, chamber walls, and put a pressure valve and 2 interfaces on here. We next fill in the rest of it with pressurized glass, and this is complete. We'll then throw down our flux compressor, run some pipes to the chamber, and well, it's as simple as that. Now we do have a few speed upgrades, but that uses over 800 flux a tick, and with our current boiler system, that just isn't gonna cut it quite yet. Now, in order to create blank upgrades, we need to have a thermo-pneumatic processing plant. It simply needs water, lapis, and some heat to run. So, with our pressure chamber built, we have a much more efficient way to create compressed iron, so let's make some pneumatic armor. We simply need compressed iron armor and a bunch of pneumatic tanks, and well, that was easier than I expected. It's now time for the best part. Let's upgrade this armor to see what it can really do. These life upgrades make it so the armor doesn't actually have a durability, but simply will use air pressure instead. So as you take hits, as you're fighting, the air pressure drops, instead of taking damage and breaking. Pretty neat. The scuba upgrade and depth upgrades are the really important ones here. The scuba upgrades allows the helmet to give us oxygen, kind of like a scuba tank. And the depth upgrades allows us to descend further down to 150 meters below sea level. So with our new armor, let's go explore this underwater structure near our base. There are a ton of trial spawners, some vaults, which require keys obtained from these trials, and quite a few Elder Guardians. Now, I explored this for a couple of hours, and honestly, it was somewhat a letdown. A lot of mobs for not a lot of loot. The good news, however, the armor worked exactly as advertised. So our next problem is, I am constantly out of commonly used items. And honestly, I'm getting sick of chopping down trees. It's getting pretty boring. So let's solve this issue. Quickly, let's create an infinitely expandable seed farm. Using 15 garden cloches, we simply run inventory cables along the back and the front access ports. Getting out our labeler, we set up our next super factory. Similar to the steam engines, we need water and an energy hookup. We also need some labels for the machines, the drawer controller, and finally an input for all of the essence. Again, the program for this isn't that complex, so I'll leave it up for a few seconds, and if you need any assistance with this, let me know down below in the comments. Now let's get back on task for creating the VoidShimmer. We next need what's called a nautical pearl. This is what will allow us to find the underground crystal. But before we can do that, we need to craft an abyssal pearl. And to do that, we need to kill some more rift creatures. Thankfully, I found a trial spawner that summons a bunch of them. So with our elytra, man, it was finally time to explore. So let's follow this eye and see what it leads us to. And after a little bit, it leads us deep underwater to this odd prismarine structure. Sadly, at the time, I had absolutely no idea what I was searching for. So I ended up breaking what we needed. And after watching some YouTube tutorials, I decided to swim around, find yet another structure, and finally find the crystal. we need to break the aquatic catalyst, this time with Silk Touch, to acquire it. We then dig down, vein miner a few times, and booyah! This is exactly what we're looking for. These drawers have some interesting loot, which we'll definitely need later down the line. So, now you may be wondering, how do we activate this crystal? Well, we throw down the aquatic catalyst in the center of the crystal and throw some prismarine in it. Our crystal was finally ready, so let's create some aquamarine steel, which is required to make a mixer. And now that I'm behind on the Just Dire Things mod, let's quickly create a Blaze Bloom Goo. We'll throw down some coal blocks around it to create primal coal. We then need blaze gold, so gold blocks must be eaten next. Let's smelt up that blaze gold ore and combine it with the nether wart to craft some polymorphic catalyst. We drop that into some water and that crafts polymorphic fluid. Let's throw that fluid in the mixer, combine it with a blaze bloom goo and an abyssal pearl to craft our VoidShimmer Goo. And just like that, our task for the day is completed. But let's go back in time a little bit. Do you remember that seed farm we just created? Well, with this VoidShimmer Goo, we can upgrade that farm a lot. Let's throw down the Void Shimmer, give it an ender pearl to fuel it, and then let's throw down some diamond blocks. Now these diamond blocks, well, it's quite expensive, turns into an extremely useful resource, Celesta Gem. With this Celesta Gem, let's craft a hoe. I know a hoe seems odd, but just watch and learn. Simply hoe dirt to create void shimmer soil. This soil increases the rate in which our crops grow. We go from growing a crop every 22 seconds to now every 4 seconds. That is a whopping 550% speed increase. And just like that, our journey today comes to an end. We created a pressure chamber, upgraded to pneumatic armor, set up an awesome crop farm, and explored deep underground structures. I am constantly working to improve the quality of my content, so if you have any recommendations, I would greatly appreciate all of the feedback. So please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing, and as always, keep automating.